the stubbornness of not wanting to sell his business ultimately led to his demise. You can't sleep. You can't think about anything else.
You have the $1 million entrepreneur, the 5,
Yes.
10, the 25, and the 100.
But where do I want to be in 10 to 15 years?
Today I'm talking with Brett Newman from M&M Equipment. Typical story, father passes the son the business. But in this story, Brett's a startup guy. Everything he learned from building a startup and building a successful business, he's implemented those systems to build and scale a transferable company. All right. Well, hey, thank you for coming. Episode 1, let's go. Thanks for coming, man. And just really appreciate you taking the time, but want to hear your story. And obviously this is going to be good convo and good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Maybe we can start from the beginning. Well, first off, what is M&M Equipment?
Great question. Thanks for having me. So M&M Equipment, what we do, there's 2 companies. It's M&M Equipment and I own M&M Auctions. So what we do is we buy and sell used industrial equipment for the food industry, specifically more like industrial equipment. So we broker equipment from one customer to another. We buy equipment, refurbish it, sell it. And then we also have our auction division. So basically when a big food factory closes down, we'll come in and basically sell, auction everything in the plant. And that's our business.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go back to, people don't know whether you started it. It's a family business, and that's why we're here ultimately. So
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the history of the business. How did it start?
Absolutely. So my dad started the company in 1991. And it's interesting. I tell people it's like, okay, he started the company with his business partner in 1991. You're talking no internet. You're talking a time where he had 3 kids. Actually, he had 2 and I was on the way. He had a new mortgage. And it's like, imagine trying to start a company with no internet, no cell phones, no technology. You've got a phone book and grit and hustle. So that's how he started, basically.
Well, did he come from the food industry? Like, what was his background before that?
Yeah, so he was a food science major in college. So he was always interested. His dad had a restaurant growing up. He's very, very passionate. He's very passionate about food in general. Always has been. But he was working for a company that was essentially doing the same thing, and the owner was getting older, kind of to that retirement age. And my dad and one of the other sales guys basically came to the owner and said, hey, we want to buy you out. We want to buy the company from you. And he didn't want to. He said, no, thanks, but no thanks. Didn't even want to entertain it, wanted nothing to do with it. So my dad and the other main sales guy of the company said, let's just go off on our own. And that's exactly what they did. And that's how they started the company. The interesting thing about it is that they started the company, they started M&M Equipment in 1991. And within 6 months, the old company was out of business.
Wow. Why is that?
I think it was, look, you lose your top 2 performing sales guys. The owner was older. He was probably in his early 70s. And he just didn't want to give it up. He didn't want to sell. And he just kind of had this bravado about him like, hey, I don't need to sell my business. And yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of what ends up happening.
So a couple of things. Well, you're a Chicago guy. I'm a Chicago guy. I grew up in Arlington Heights. Where did you grow up?
Deerfield.
Deerfield.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, you said your grandfather owned a restaurant?
My grandfather owned a restaurant in, I think it was Wilmette.
Wilmette. Are you guys just always been entrepreneurial family?
I think so. Always had a lot of hustle. That's for sure. So whatever it is in me, like I can't stop being like it's more like this. Like when we see a problem, I think my dad has this too. We are just fixated on solving it. So whatever that may be. And it's like you get to a point where, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs have this, when you see a problem, you can't sleep, you can't think about anything else. You are just fixated on solving this problem, and it's just in you. It's in your DNA to want to solve that problem, and you're hell or high water on doing that, right? And I think that I have that, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that's why we connected, where we met a couple of years ago in my past life being in the machinery business.
Yeah.
it's just the passion. It's just wanting to solve a problem, wanting to do
Yeah.
something better.
Yeah.
And I mean that's why we're connected.
Yeah.
So, okay, so fast forward a little bit. So they start the business, they're pounding the phones. And what was like did they already have customers from the old business or like, I mean,
Yeah.
kind of
They,
start from zero. I mean, not zero because they came from the industry, but
yeah.
I mean, they're hustling from pretty much zero. It's just them two, right?
Just them two. They had a book of business. They would go to grocery stores, read the back of the label, write it down, open the phone book, find that company, and call them. And they just pounded the phone. That was how they started the business. So
Wow.
they had some customers, and then within 6 months, their old company closed, and it was like boom, the gates were open. And so the kind of the stubbornness of not wanting to sell his business ultimately led to his demise, which is kind of crazy. So that was how it started. So yeah, kind of fast forward, they built a really good name for themselves in the food industry.
Well,
They
who's the typical customer? Walk me through a little bit
yeah
about like food's massive. So
yeah
what who was their typical customer and did they have like a niche where they started or
yeah absolutely. So the niche is more so in the meat and protein sector. So their typical customer is companies like well, eventually it turned into companies like Cargill, Tyson, JBS Foods, Cisco Foods, US Foods, right? Food manufacturers. We get it confused sometimes where people are like, "Oh, you sell restaurant equipment?" Well, not really, right? So it's niche in the meat industry more specifically. So like a primary customer for us is a company that has like an ideal customer, a company that has 3 or 4 plants, right? They've got a couple hundred employees. They've got a lot of industrial machinery, packaging equipment, grinding equipment, X-rays, all sorts of different stuff. And they'll be able to come to us and buy it used. We'll help them sell their old stuff, right? We also are appraisers. So
okay.
we're certified appraisers. Banks will work with us to do appraisals. Companies need us. So yeah, it's kind of I would say our niche is in the meat and poultry protein sector, but we've expanded a lot into basically any kind of CPG, any kind of food and beverage company now.
So that's like the 90s. And when do you get into like in the early 2000s? Is that when you get into auctions? Well, why did it make sense to like, okay, yes, we're in you. So you're selling new,
Yeah.
used, reconditioned,
Yeah.
ultimately anything the customer is going to need. But like you start in the used,
Yes.
you move into the new then? Like I just want to hear
Yeah.
the evolution
Yeah.
of how
Yeah.
the company also grows its product lines and ultimately serving customers like the Car Hill. I think it might be one of the biggest private companies there is in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for
Absolutely.
companies like this, you're trying to service and offer more things. But how did that kind of come about? Because it starts as two people, and then how big does the company like? Where does it start taking off, and when
Yeah.
does it start making those kinds of decisions?
Yeah. So it starts off with just one or two used pieces of equipment, one or two machines, right? We bring it in, we refurbish it, and we sell it. I think at a certain point it came to okay, well now these companies are asking us for valuations. I need to know. I've got a whole plant of equipment. Right, we're trying to go get a new line of credit. We're trying to grow our business, and we need to know the values of all this equipment. Well, all that knowledge is in my dad and his partner's head and all the data of the equipment that they're selling. So right, so it's kind of a natural progression of okay, we're going to sell equipment. Now we're going to do appraisals as well, and we could do that as a service. At the time, they didn't really have a lot of space. They were working with what they had, and so a natural progression was okay. Let's be scrappy and let's offer a service. That service being appraisals. They didn't have a huge inventory, a huge facility to house a lot of equipment. So what do they do instead to still be able to offer equipment? Now let's sell some new equipment, right? So then they started distributing a few lines of new machinery, being able to tap into that and say, hey, if we don't have it used, at least we can tap into it and make a commission from an OEM that, at least we could sell it new, right? So we could still offer something, we could still help. And that's kind of been their motto has always been just like, hey, whatever we can do, even if you're buying something from someone else, their motto was always like, yeah, just call us and we'll give you advice. Advice is free. So like go for it, you know?
Just because the audience may not know what OEM is, which is the
Yeah.
manufacturer, do you specifically work with only a couple brands? And, is it an offshoot? Okay, we were working in this on the used side for these, you know, three or four top OEMs,
Yeah.
and now we'll start selling their new stuff. Or was it, I mean, is there any?
Yeah. So we're choosy of who we work with on the new side, original equipment manufacturers in the industry, OEM, right? So you almost think of it as like a car dealership. We really only wanted to sell the Mercedes. We really only wanted to sell BMW, the Rolls Royce. And so companies started approaching us being like, hey, do you want to be a distributor for our new equipment lines? A lot of them are overseas in the food and beverage manufacturing equipment.
That's just the business.
Yeah, a lot of it's overseas. And so we were getting approached to sell lines, sell equipment lines. And so I think they were really choosy about what they wanted to do and who they wanted to represent and have the M&M name be. But ultimately, it came down to, hey, if we're going to sell new equipment, we really only want it to be really high quality stuff. And that's what they decided.
Now, on the reconditioning side,
Yeah.
which is tough, like
Yeah.
it's hard to get the right technicians and people.
Yeah.
So how is that? I mean, is that a big part of your business or?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's something that like isn't really done as much anymore. I'm seeing a lot of companies in the industry as a whole not doing like fully refurbished, fully rebuilt equipment because it's hard. It's just not an easy thing to do. Our technicians are amazing. They've been in the industry forever, but ultimately that's a big part of our business. It's something I never want to go away from either, right? Because quality used equipment is what keeps people coming back. It keeps people calling. There's kind of a used car salesman sort of motto, or not motto. There's just like a stigma, I'll call
Sure.
it. A stigma of being like a used car dealer, right? Oh, you sell this one machine and I'll never see you again. You make a couple bucks and that's that. But that doesn't work if you want to build a scalable big business. You have to provide quality. And so I never want to get away from selling refurbished equipment, and we're not going to.
Right.
That's how you get quality machinery. Otherwise, it's as is, where is, who knows what it is.
Well, and you said you're selling to a lot of folks, to a couple hundred employees, three or four plants. They're hopefully growing.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you have the relationship that you're there for when they really take off and
Yes.
growing. They're going to come back to you because they can get good value. Like, remind me again, or well, you haven't said, how much of a discount would a used versus new? Let's just say it's still the same brand, same machine,
Yeah.
but give me a little idea, like what is the customer saving and what?
You're saving 50 to 60%, right? So I tell people used machinery, used equipment bears anywhere from 40 to 60% of new cost. Once you go over that 60% threshold, that's where you lose your value prop in someone saying, I'd rather just buy a new one. I get the hand holding, I get all these other benefits. Makes total sense. But for 50 to 60% of new cost, it's worth it. And especially if you're getting something fully refurbished and we'll warranty it, right? It's hard to beat that.
I want to know more about you and your history. So you're growing
Yeah.
up, obviously, with your dad starting the business. You're growing up in the business. You're the youngest of three,
I'm
or
the
is that
youngest of three.
youngest of
Yes.
three? Nobody else is in the business.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, now my sister is. My
Okay.
sister's
Your
working
sister.
with me now. Yeah.
Well, let's walk through. You grow up in Deerfield,
Yes.
and you go to OSU,
I went to Ohio State. Yeah.
right? Okay. I went
Buckeyes.
to IU,
I
so
get it. You went to IU.
I did go to IU. So
Oh my God! Congrats.
yes,
All I can say is like, what a season!
what a season,
It's
right?
unbelievable.
We got a guy for, I think, the long term.
I think
Long
so.
term.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're there. You're not. I mean, you've always been an entrepreneur, and I want to get into this. Where
Yeah.
it's like you did not think you were going to take over the business. Was that always a plan, some point in the future? But like, let's talk about like
Yeah.
what happened in college, and
Yeah.
let's start where the entrepreneurial journey, and maybe that wasn't your first like real
Yeah.
journey or foray into entrepreneurship. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I never really wanted to or thought that I was going to go into this. My whole thing was, I think probably my sophomore, junior year of college. Um, I was promoting nightclubs in Chicago.
Always selling.
Like always, like yeah, I just had this hustle. My older sister like had this nightclub promoter guy that she kind of worked with, and ultimately like she kind of passed it off to me and was like, hey, you know a lot of people, you're really social. Why don't you try this? So I did, and so I started promoting nightclubs in Chicago. Right, that was like my first like dipping my toes in the water of like wanting to make money, wanting to hustle. And I always say like a lot of successful people start off promoting nightclubs. Like
Really?
look
Okay.
at Dave Grutman, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right.
Right? He was a nightclub promoter. And
Now he owns Miami.
and now yeah, exactly. So that was my first kick. Was like, okay, I'm gonna promote some nightclubs. I'll bring some friends there and make a couple bucks. So I go to Ohio State. I decided I wanted to study abroad in Barcelona. My older sister studied abroad in Barcelona. It was something I thought I always wanted to do. I was doing this nightclub promoting thing. I got hooked up with some guys that were doing music festivals. They do like college music festivals all over the U.S., and they wanted to launch something in Barcelona called Abroad Fest. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm in. That sounds fun. I got sort of networked, connected with them.
Through the nightclub space or what?
No, it was just like through people at Ohio State. I was just talking and people through my fraternity, and I just, hey, oh, you're studying abroad in Barcelona. These guys want to do a music festival in Barcelona. I was like, cool, perfect. And they actually had affiliations with Ohio State. So they got me class credit to go to Barcelona and start this music festival and learn the music industry. And that was my plan, right? I was like, okay, I want to go and get in the music industry. The DJ world was just kicking off. EDM music this was like what, 2012. EDM, Tiesto was God, right? Still is, but Tiesto was the man. These types of artists. So I go to Barcelona. I start Abroad Fest. Goes really well. Things were great. I'm learning how to book artists, right? It was really fun, really cool. But we had a huge problem with our housing. My roommate comes to me and he goes, our landlord approached me and asked if I want to bring people for the next year to promote and whatever, help them get housing. And I was like, he'll give us 1%. 1%. And I was like, that's not going to cut it. I was like, I think I could really build this out. I had already started this big music festival. It went really well. And so we approached him and said, hey, we want to start this company, Study Abroad Apartments. So basically what it was, and what it is still, it's like it's a booking platform for students to book safe and reliable housing overseas. So basically it was like right when Airbnb was taking off, that was when we started this. So it's an online booking portal. You and your friends can go book your apartment. We had built it up. I think at our peak we had about 30 employees at the time. We had an office in Barcelona. We had an office in New York. And so from then on, from my junior year of college, basically until I was about 27, 28, I was living back and forth between New York and Barcelona every 2-3 months. I had a place there, a place in New York. And yeah, we raised capital. We did all this stuff. We grew it. I sold the company in 2018, bought it back in 2019. And then COVID hit, and then everything dropped back down again. And that was when I said, okay, wait a minute. I'm still helping my dad on the side with this business. I was doing a lot of his marketing, really helping him out. I was like, I'll come back to Chicago for 2 weeks. My dad said everything was going gangbuster with COVID, right? Everyone needed equipment. No one could get it. So I was like, I'll help you out for a couple weeks. Things are a nightmare for Study Abroad Apartments right now. It's craziness. Let me come home. I come home, and that turns into me just being like, all right, there's an opportunity here. This is a boring boomer business that's ripe for disruption. And that was what I wanted to do. And it took me probably 2-3 months to be like, okay, not only that, but like I want to scale, and I need to build systems. And I want to take everything that they've done, the good reputation that they built, and scale it and 10x it and do everything that I know how to do from the startup world. And that got me to where I am.
There's a lot there because, we're both tech guys. I mean, I think that's something that we both connected on, which is we want to go big. We've always dreamed of big.
Yeah.
And I guess what was it though that really spark the opportunity, but like startup guys in the tech world only think I want to build $1 billion business, a $10 billion business,
Yeah.
right? And what was like, man, there's some real opportunity in a business that, listen, you grew up in it,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
how many years old? 35?
35.
35 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
COVID happens. Yes, nobody could get equipment,
Yeah.
but like, what was it like? I'm gonna do this long term,
Yeah.
like what, and put and infuse a bunch of the things that I've learned. But like, what was the opportunity that you saw or see, and that kind of got you excited?
I think the addressable market is just so big, right? There were two things that, and during COVID, it was kind of a moment of, oh crap, like you had this feeling of like, all these people are getting furloughed, and only the things that really matter weren't furloughed. And so there were two things that everyone always needed, right? If the world is collapsing and everything is going down, like everyone needs food and everyone needs housing. And so here I am working for my dad, and we're one of the only companies that was allowed to stay open. We had to stay open. We were considered an essential business, right? The food industry can't stop, right? Grocery stores need to stay stocked. Restaurants need to be able to provide. Like, it was open. So that was my big aha moment of like, okay, I'm in the background providing food for people, and that's purpose. That's important, and that's something that's never going to go away. And that hit me in that moment of like kind of desperation of seeing what was happening in the world and the freakouts of like, okay, everyone's going to need this forever. And that means the TAM is huge. Total addressable market's massive for this. Everyone needs to eat, just like everyone needs housing. And that was my like aha moment.
At what point was it like, Dad, like I does he want to get out? Are you like, what's the conversation of like, listen,
Yeah.
I'm going to take this thing to the next level,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, it's family, so
Yeah, it's tough.
we got
It's tough.
egos is big in small business, but like,
Yeah.
how does that kind of conversation go if you're willing to share?
Yeah.
And then, all right, like, let me do me.
I'm really grateful. First of all, let me say, family business is tough. Working with your dad, working with any family member is very challenging, right? Because you have this freedom to say and feel to say what you want to say, because you've been able to do that your whole life. Now all of a sudden you're in a work environment and you can't say how you really feel all the time. And it's a very challenging thing to navigate. Fortunately for me, my dad and his partner saw what I did. They had a really good understanding of my background, my acumen, and they gave me the ball and said, run with it. And they trusted me. And that was a big part of it. And I think that had I not had the experiences that I already had, they probably would not have done that and not given me the ball. But I think I kind of proved myself with my work ethic, my drive of everything that I had done before to put that trust in me. So really the next step was, Dad, Marty, my dad's partner, that's the two M's. My dad's Mark and his partner's Marty. And I sat down with them. I learned everything that I could in those few weeks. And I said, all right, I need to put together an operations playbook. Okay. All this knowledge that you guys have, it's in your head. And if you're going to build a business, you need to put it down. It's got to be somewhere so that you can train people and grow and scale. So that was my first step. Build an ops playbook, right? Put it down, get all the knowledge, get it on, get it out there. And then really from there be able to say, okay, here's our budgets. We can hire this person. We can hire that person. I think it was about 2 years later that we bought, my now business partner and I bought Marty out. So I think it was like 3 years ago now. We bought Marty out. And then from there it was, okay, now we can really scale. I think we 10x'd our profits in about 2 years, which was crazy, which was, awesome.
So a couple questions.
Yeah.
One, you said, so you have a business partner.
Yes.
Okay. And is that from the startup?
No, this is actually, it's Marty's nephew,
Okay.
my dad's partner's nephew. He had been in sales for the company for almost a decade. Anyone that's starting a business, when you have when you decide you want to have a business partner, they need to fulfill something that you don't have, right? You need a yin to your yang. Okay. So what Max fulfills is an incredible knowledge of equipment. I mean, the guy knows more about industrial food processing machinery than anyone I've ever met. It's incredible. And so when him and I sat down, it was, okay, you fulfill something that I don't have. I fulfill something that you don't have. And so that's why it made a lot of sense. And so we've been great partners ever since.
And I think the thing that I don't want to overlook, but my experience with small business owners, the first most difficult part is the trust.
Yeah.
And it helps, right? But even as a father and son, like, can he do it? And the
Yeah.
fact that you were able to build a successful business prior to that was like, he's got the hustle, the
Yeah.
grit, and you know what? He is ready for this.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually the outsider coming in, right? But it's the trust. Once you have the buy-in, once you
Yeah.
have the trust,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, you trust me? Let's put in some systems.
Yeah.
So what was, if you're willing to share, you said you 10x profits, like where were you guys at? And again, could be rough estimate. Um, where were you guys doing roughly before and now?
Yeah.
Where did you go to?
So that was in about 2021. We were somewhere in the $5-6 million a year range as a business, which was great. It's a small business, only had a couple of employees, and that was great. So fast forward, kind of to where I can tell you where we're at now is we just had our first year doing well over 20 million. And it's been about 3 years.
Even at five, here's how I say it. This is how I always think about small business and
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and also startups. You have the $1 million entrepreneur, the five, the
Yes.
10, the 25, and the 100.
Exactly.
And it's always this next level of, oh, I don't have that. A $5 million entrepreneur, usually if they're doing it alone or one partner, they can sell.
Yes.
But at some point, they can't get to 10 because they don't have a GM. They don't have at least one layer of person
Yeah.
to start delegating.
Exactly.
And 10 to 25, I only sell one thing. Now I got to sell two things. I got to sell three things. And there's always this wall.
Yeah.
How do you break through in the last couple of years? Was it product and services? Was it market? Like,
Yeah.
walk me a little through how you grow at that scale. And it's sometimes when I speak to all these business owners, they don't actually believe that they can get there.
Right.
It's almost like, but it's part of what you and I are made of, which is this startup. Like, the market's massive.
Yes.
We can build an incredible business.
Yes.
Let's just do these things. So walk me through, all right, put some systems in. What's that huge trajectory?
The jump was in people. Bringing in the right people, bringing in the people that believe in you, that understand what you're trying to do, that are on the same page as you, right? I go by the motto, slow to hire, quick to fire. Okay. Not that I've fired too many people in my day that I've really had to, but ultimately I'm here to find the right people. I want to find people that want to build this thing with me. And so once we started bringing in the right talent, that was when things really just took off. Once we started delegating, once we built these systems, once we implemented them and brought these people in, that's when things really took off. The second factor to that was, again, it goes back to that problem solving, right? I see a problem, I need to solve it. I'm fixated on it. I can't sleep. I need to solve this thing. So my dad they were always helping in auctions, right? They'd bring an auction deal, but they would have to work with an auctioneer. And so they're giving up 50%. They're doing all the legwork. And I go, how come you guys aren't doing your own auctions? How come this isn't existing? Like, what's going on with that? You guys know what you're doing, and it just came down to like, yeah, it was a problem. It became a problem of, okay, we're doing all this work and we're not being compensated for it. And we could do auctions just like everybody else. So that's when I started another company. I started M&M Auctions. Went to auction school, the Missouri Auction School, Harvard of auction schools. And really from there, that's when things really also started to take off.
But how do you even, that's auctions. in your business for some of these huge clients, that's a big deal to close a client, to them to
Yeah.
entrust you. Now, let me just also agree that you guys are appraisers already. You have the knowledge and understanding what this is worth,
Yeah.
but those aren't easy accounts to get. So is that
Yeah.
is that you? Who is it that's
Yeah.
pulling in those accounts to be like, I can represent you
Yeah.
for this auction?
There were a lot of existing relationships. If there's anything that my dad and Marty did that was amazing, was their ability to build these long-term relationships with great companies and great people. Um, a lot of it came down to, look, we've got 35 years of equipment sales data in your specific vertical. Okay, we can get down almost to the penny of what we think your asset's going to sell for, and we're usually very, very close. Um, People can lie, data doesn't lie, right? I could tell you, I could sit here all day and tell you your machine's going to sell for $1 million, but until you show that on paper, and I really took almost like a real estate broker approach to it, right? Comps, public, there's public comps when you're going to sell a building or sell a piece of real estate. I took that approach with equipment, right? I've got a comp. These 5 machines over the past however many years, this is the same machine as yours, same vintage, same model. It's going to sell for this range. And I was right. And I credit that to the data. It just doesn't lie, man. So I think going back to your question, how did we get our foot in the door with those companies? A lot of it is grit. A lot of it is hustle. A lot of it is, hey, there's an opportunity. I'm on the plane the next day immediately. Matter of fact, I'm already on my way to the airport, okay, if there's an opportunity. So I think it comes down to coming from a place of like being very genuine with your clients, showing them that your objective is to help them. Okay, that's always where this goes back to. And when you show that and you mean it, I think people really see that and know that you're not full of it. Okay, if I'm here to help you, my objective is to help you get the highest return on this situation as possible, good or bad.
Yeah.
And it showed, and it's working.
So let's kind of switch gears on what the future is going to look like. 'Cause
Yeah.
you guys have been going gangbusters.
Yeah.
Are we growing to a different city? What are we doing for the next chapter? Because
Yeah.
you're how old now?
I'm 33.
33. I mean, I just turned 40. I feel old now. I mean, 33, you got a long time in this business. So
Yeah.
where are we going?
Great question. I definitely see us being able to quadruple where we're at right now. I want to see us, we're looking for new properties to house our business. We've outgrown where we're at. So first and foremost, we need a new facility. That's priority one. But over the next 8 to 10 years, we really want to be the default company for all or most of the major CPG companies in the United States. We believe there's opportunities in a number of different verticals. We're already exploring. We're working on a couple different things there that we could branch out of just the specific niche that we've been in for a long time.
Which meat and poultry, and you're looking outside of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And
So how do you think about that, though? What makes most sense to, okay, we're going to try to go into this vertical. We might not have as much experience. Do you got to bring going back to people? Like,
yeah.
how do you think about the strategy there? And like,
Yeah. People is definitely a big part of it. Understanding the equipment is everything, right? Your domain knowledge. I'd say that I think about it, we're doing market research. We're looking at trends. We're looking at food trends. We're seeing what consumers want. And if you're looking at, I don't want to give too much of our secret sauce here,
No.
but if you're looking at consumer trends and you're seeing what people want and what's going on in the food industry, what's going on in public health, you've got a good idea and a good way to reverse engineer that and figure out, okay, what's the next vertical? What's the next jump? And that's kind of the approach that we've taken.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what's like the next big hire for you guys, for the company to take the next level,
Yeah. So a big thing for us right now is finding some additional people in sales. That's really key. We're looking for some additional people in the shop. as I said from the beginning, we want to continue rebuilding equipment. I'm never going away from that. That gives us that quality. So we're going to be looking for more technicians. Some of our senior guys want to take younger technicians under their wing, and we can start training them and educating them on the type of equipment that we could rebuild. And then on the other side, we're going to be looking for people on business development, specifically in the auction side. So it's like I said, I'm on a plane tomorrow. You tell me there's an opportunity, I'm there. I'm only one person. There's about 3 of us right now on the auction side. So we're going to be looking to build out more people focused on being able to get equipment, find opportunities in different areas of the country.
So obviously, I know a little bit about the auction industry, but
Yeah.
you get into this business, starts to grow. You got 3 now on the team, and it's an old school business. And so
Yes.
we should have edge. Where does the edge lie there? And like, how do you start building this sort of business to where it could be tenfold what the other business is? Like
Yeah.
how does that work?
Yeah. In order for that to happen, well, first of all, technology is a big part of that. We're building things right now. I have my dev team from Study Abroad Apartments that I've basically transitioned over to also be working with M&M equipment. So we've got a full time dev team. Um, we're building out ways to extract data from auctions from all over the place. And so one of our competitive advantages is A, data, um, and B, utilizing a lot of the tech tools, a lot of the things that are out there, to be able to get in touch with the right people, the right decision makers, and ultimately, get our foot in the door and explain what we do and use that data to bring them what's going to help them the most.
Sure.
You know?
So you got both businesses, still study abroad apartments. Are
Yes.
you like, does that take a lot of time for you? And like, are
Yeah.
you always going to kind of have a side other sort of business that's just, I mean,
Yeah.
you're a very curious person, which I think
Yeah.
you have to be as an entrepreneur to
Yeah.
be obsessed about solving problems. Is there something else that, on the side that you're interested? Do you do any real estate or any other things on the side?
I own a little bit of real estate. Yeah. Passive income is great, right? If you know what you're doing, if you're not lazy about it, that's awesome. I love my work that I still do with Study Abroad Apartments. Um, Again, the two things that give me purpose, right? It goes back to housing and it goes back to food. Those are the two things that everybody needs, and the two things that are going to help people the most. Um, and so I spend a good amount of time on Study Abroad Apartments for sure, and that's growing as well. We're kind of back to where we were pre-COVID. It's really fun. It's really exciting. We're sponsoring our first music festival again.
Okay.
Like, we sponsor music
Let's
festivals.
go.
Dude, we're sponsoring a music festival at Tulane University next week.
Okay.
So it's our first one since. We're super excited about it. There's some big DJ playing. And yeah, it's as long as I'm having fun, as long as I'm enjoying it, I wake up every day super happy, super motivated. And more so than that, I think it's about empowering people. It's about giving that purpose that you have and passing it on to other people, your employees, creating an amazing job for someone. What better feeling is it than when you can give someone a holiday bonus, right? That's game changer for their family. If you could give someone, the benefits of, full health care, right? That's a huge thing that I won't sacrifice on. I'm going to give all my employees the best possible health care that we could give, right? Yeah, I need to compete with bigger companies to bring in talent, but B, it's just something that, like, I don't want to sacrifice, and I don't want my employees having to think about, oh my God, what if this happens, or they've got a huge medical bill, or, no, don't worry about that. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you and your family. And so that's the purpose, man. That's what I want to do. So where do I want to be in 10 to 15 years? Um, I know I can scale this, continue to grow, continue to hit these milestones, going from 20 to 50 to 100 and so on, right? That's going to happen. But more so than anything, I also have to be aware that, hey, if my kids aren't going to take this over one day, if there isn't that next generation available, I need to be able to create something that can be sold, right? There needs to be an exit strategy. There needs to be some kind of succession plan. And so I go each day, each month, each year with that in the back of my head. And so that's always going to be on the table for us, a potential exit, whatever that may look like. But the key there is knowing how to position yourself to do that. Should it come to that? Should the opportunity arise?
And is that organic, or are you open to inorganic where you're going to buy these companies to get bigger? Other companies might offer another service or another product.
Yeah.
Is that at all on the table?
Um, I think growth through M&A is probably on the table for us at some point. I see what other businesses are doing in our vertical, businesses that, can be adjacent to us, right? I see that path. I also see that path for us. I see us being able to, at some point, complement an adjacent business, a bigger company than we are. And so with that knowledge of going through an exit in my previous company and then buying the company back and all that craziness that happened, I'm building like what you were talking about. We're using AI. We're doing the same thing, right? I'm using AI to sit there and talk through all of our processes and all of our strategy and recording myself and having the AI put that down, right? And keep that there and then use that to train people and hire and scale. But I think the key is building a big enough moat around our business, creating more barriers to entry that would allow us to get acquired one day if we wanted to.
Well, and we don't say it enough, but small businesses typically are experts. The good ones are experts at like one or two things.
Yeah.
And expertise, as long as it's documented and it's in a system.
Yeah.
But if you're the best at what you do, you're
Yeah.
valuable,
Yes.
right? And obviously having the years of experience, but staying in the
Yeah.
lane and not going off track and
Yeah.
making sure that you remain the expert is, don't start selling 20 different types of product lines. Just sell the ones that you do and be the expert.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Someone once told me when you have too many revenue streams, you have none. It's very tempting to, as a founder, as a business owner, hey, someone thinks we should go into this, go into that. But at the end of the day, I agree. Stick to what you're good at and be the best at it.
I mean, obviously your dad's got to be super proud of you. So, but I'm curious, like, because I've been around that crew where it's all the older crew that respects the hustle, and once they respect you, they're going to ask you tons of questions. How can we get better? I have to imagine, even outside of your industry, that like, are you helping any other of like dad's friends or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about that.
Let's see. I've helped 4 people now with selling their company, of just advice. Here's what you got to do. Here's how you work through it. I had someone, this is funny. I helped him sell his company. It's a friend.
What kind of business was it?
It was a real estate, it's a property management company. Okay. And we helped kind of get him to this point, and he gifted. I didn't want anything in return. It was just a friend, and I have like such a passion for helping other entrepreneurs. I love it. I'll sit and have drinks with anybody and just talk about business, and like it. Again, it's an obsession, right? So I love giving people that advice. I give people advice about buying companies. I've got one guy right now who's been working with me, and I'm kind of just coaching him on what he needs to do to buy this business. He should change to an S corp so that he can use the profits of the business, in the future to buy out the previous owner, and like, right, how to structure it. But this guy, one of them, I helped sell his business. He gifted me a Bitcoin. That was his
Really?
gift. Yes, this was his gift. He gave me a Bitcoin. And at the time, this is a while ago, I was like, this thing's going nowhere. And I just sold it.
Oh,
and I was like, oh man, what was I doing? But that was a nice token of just like appreciation. But I would do it for free. I love it. It's an obsession. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've really appreciated you, taking the time to come here and talk with me and help out the audience too.
Yeah,
Um, but till next time,
for
Brett.
sure. I'm around.
All right, let's go.